Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'll be showing you how to make a nice big version of Totodile. I've already made tutorials for both Chikorita and Cyndaquil, which I will leave links for both in the card system and in the description just below, just in case you guys have missed them and you want to make them. However, moving on to Totodile, if you want to make him, here's what you're going to need. You will need some black wool, and grab some dark blue wool, some cyan wool, some white wool, yellow, red, and finally grab yourself some nether brick. And once you have each one of those materials right there, and once you've figured out what you want to make him, I'll be making him right here, you're going to want to kick off Totodile with a single black wool on the floor. From that black wool, you then want to do 2 up left diagonals, so that's 1 and 2. Go up on top of that second up left diagonal by 1. Then go right by 1. You then, starting from this block that you just went right from, want to do an up left diagonal. Then go left by 1. Then go up by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then do an upright diagonal. Go up on top of it by 1. Then do 2 upright diagonals, so that's 1 and 2. Go to the right of the second upright diagonal by 1 to give you this shape. Once you've formed this shape, you now want to return back down to this block that you started going on top of, and you now want to go left of this block by 2. 1, 2. You then want to do an up left diagonal. Then go left of that diagonal by 1. Then go down by 1. Then do a bottom left diagonal. And go left by 1. Then do a bottom left diagonal. And go left by 1. Then do a bottom left diagonal. And go left by 1. Then do an up left diagonal. Go left by 1. Then do an up left diagonal. Go up by 1. Then right by 2. 1, 2. Then go up by 1. Right by 1. Then do a bottom right diagonal. And go right by 1. Once you've formed this shape right here, you then want to return it back up to this block that you started going right from. And from this block do an up left diagonal. Then go up by 2. 1, 2. Then do an upright diagonal. And go up by 1. Then do an upright diagonal. And go right by 1. Then down by 1. Then do a bottom right diagonal. And go down by 1. Then do 2 bottom right diagonals, so that's 1 and 2. Go to the right of the second bottom right diagonal by 1 to connect everything together to give you this shape. Once you've formed this shape, you now want to return it back up to here, where we have these 2 black blocks, and starting from on top of this left hand black block here, you just want to place a black block. Then you want to go right of it by 4, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Then go down by 2, 1, 2. Then do a bottom right diagonal. Once you've formed that shape, you then want to come back up to this block that you were just going down from, and from this block do 3 upright diagonals, so that's 1, 2, 3. Go up on top of that third upright diagonal by 1. Then do another upright diagonal. Then go up on top of that diagonal by 3, so that's 1, 2, 3, to form this shape right here. Once you've formed this shape, we can now move on to the next bit. So we now want to come all the way back down to here, this block where we kind of just placed one and then we went right of it. Well, from this block now, you want to do 2 up left diagonals, so that's 1 and 2. Then do a bottom left diagonal. Then go left by 2, 1, 2. Then do an up left diagonal. Then an upright diagonal. Go up by 1. Then do an up left diagonal. And go up by 1. Then do an upright diagonal. Then an up left diagonal. On top of this up left diagonal, place a white wool. You then on top of and to the right of that white want to place a black wall, like so. You then also want to place a black wall upright diagonally of that white wall. And from that upright diagonal block, from your white wall, you want to do another upright diagonal. And go right by 2, 1, 2. Then do a bottom right diagonal. And go right by, hang on guys, there's quite a few blocks here, go right by 7, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like so. And then on top of those 6th and 7th blocks, place another black wall. Then from that 7th block, well, the block that you placed on top of the 7th block, do an upright diagonal, like so. Then going down from the 7th block, this one right here, just do a single black wall. Then do a bottom left diagonal. Then go down by 3, so that's 1, 2, 3. Then do a bottom left diagonal. And go down by 1. Then do a bottom left diagonal. And go left by 3, so that's 1, 2, 3. Then do an up left diagonal. And go left by 2, 1, 2. Then go up by 1. Then do an upright diagonal. And go up by 2, 1, 2. You first of all want to take this middle block in this row of 3 that we formed and go left of it by 2, 1, 2. Then you want to take this top block and do an upright diagonal from it and then place 1 on top. And that will be the entire mouth of your Totodile 100% fully completed. That is a really messed up shape, isn't it guys? I know, you don't have to tell me. Difficult tutorial. Once you've got that taken care of, however, we can now move on. So, can you guys see this single white wall that we placed a little bit earlier on? Well, from this single white wall, we now want to go left with our black wall by 3. So that's 1, 2, 3. You then want to place another white wall. Place a black wall underneath that white and on top of that white. Then, from the black wall on top of that white, you just want to do an up left diagonal. And go up on top of it by 3, so that's 1, 2, 3. Then do 2 up right diagonals, so that's 1 and 2. Go to the right of that second upright diagonal by 1. Then do a bottom right diagonal. And go right by 2, 1, 2. Then go up on top of this middle block in our row of 3 by 1. Then do an upright diagonal. Then go up by 2, 1, 2. Then do an upright diagonal. And go up by 1. Then do an upright diagonal. And go right by 1. Then do an upright diagonal. And go right by 2, 1, 2. Then go down by 1 and right by 1. The block that you just went down 1 with, from this block do 3 bottom left diagonals, so that's 1, 2, 3. Then go down by 1 from that third bottom left diagonal to form this shape. Once you form this shape, you now want to return back to this block right here that we just went right with by 1, and from this block do an upright diagonal. And go right by 2, 1, 2. Then do a bottom right diagonal. And go right by 1. Then do a bottom right diagonal. And go down by 1. Then do a bottom right diagonal. And go down by 2, 1, 2. Then do a bottom right diagonal. And go down by 2, 1, 2. Then do a bottom right diagonal. And go down by 2, 1, 2. Then do a bottom right diagonal. And go down by 2, 1, 2. Then do a bottom left diagonal. And go down by 3, so that's 1, 2, 3. Then do 2 bottom right diagonals, so that's 1 and 2. Go to the right of that second bottom right diagonal by 2, 1, 2. Then do an upright diagonal. Go up on top that diagonal by 2, 1, 2. Then, with this row of 3 that we have, we want to take this middle block and go right of it by 1. Then, do an upright diagonal and go up on top of it by 1. Then do an upright diagonal and go on top of it by 2, 1, 2. Then do an up left diagonal and go left of it by 2, 1, 2. Then do a bottom left diagonal and go left of it by 2, 1 and 2, just to connect all the way back to where we just were. And all we have to do here, can you guys see in this like corner space that we have right here, you just want to place 3 black blocks in these positions right here, and that is just Totodile's claw right there. You guys should be able to do that no problem. Once you've got that taken care of, you now want to take out your nether brick, and starting from on top of this block right here, kind of like the left wing of our T-shape, on top of this block do a single nether brick. Then go left of it by 1. Then do an up left diagonal, and go left of it by 1. Then do an up left diagonal, and go up on top of it by 1. Then do an up right diagonal, and go up by 1. Then do an upright diagonal, go up by 1, and then left until you connect back to the outline of your pixel art and form this shape right here. Once you've got that shape taken care of, we now want to move it down to our pixel art, and we want to come to this part right here. Can you guys see where we are? Well, starting from this block that we have right here in this kind of like sideways T-shape, starting from this block, we want to do 4 bottom right diagonals. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Then go to the right of that 4th bottom right diagonal by 4. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, once you've done that, you want to take out your trusty nether brick again, and starting from this like 3rd bottom right diagonal that we just made, you want to do 3 up right diagonals with your nether brick. So that's 1, 2, 3. You then want to take out your black wool and go right of that 3rd upright diagonal of your nether brick, 1 with your black, and then connect it back down to where we just were, like so. Then with your black wool, starting from this black wool that we have on the right hand side here, you want to do a bottom right diagonal, then go down by 1, then do 2 bottom left diagonals, 1 and 2, then go left by 1, then do a bottom left diagonal, and go left by 3, so that's 1, 2, 3. Then go up by 2, 1, 2. Then do an up left diagonal, and go up by 1. Then do an up left diagonal. And once you form this shape right here, which is Totodile's tail by the way, you now want to return back to this block where we started going up from, and from this block you want to go down by 1. Then do 2 bottom left diagonals, so that's 1 and 2. Then go right of that 2nd bottom left diagonal by 2, 1, 2. Then do a bottom right diagonal, go down by 1, then do a bottom left diagonal, and go left until you hopefully connect all the way back to where you first started. And also you just want to place 2 black wool in these 2 positions right here, just at the base of the foot. And hopefully if you guys have managed to do all of that, you should be left with a very clear outline of your Totodile. As a matter of fact, from this point onwards, everything is actually quite everything is quite easy. He's not so hard to fill in whatsoever. So the only parts that I'm actually going to walk you through filling in is his eye, since that is maybe not so easy to figure out. So once you've reached this point right here, we can now move on to filling him in. So we're going to want to come all the way up to the top right hand corner of his mouth, which is where we have this single upright diagonal with our black wool. From this diagonal, take out your dark blue and do an up left diagonal, followed by an upright diagonal. Go up on top of that diagonal by 4 with your dark blue, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then do 2 up left diagonals, 1, 2. Then go left by 1. Then do 2 bottom left diagonals, so that's 1 and 2. Then go left by 1. Then down by 1. Then left by 1. Then down by 3, 1, 2, 3. You then want to go left of each one of those 3 blocks by 3, or by 1 I should say. Take each one of those 3rd blocks and then just go left by 1. Then you want to go left of the bottom 2 blocks by 1 further, so you want to have formed this shape right here. you then want to take out your black wool, and you kind of just want to do an L shape, or I suppose it's a J shape, with your black wool, just kind of underneath and next to the shape that you've just formed. You then want to take out your other colours and you want to form this shape. This bit is actually a little bit easier to figure out for yourself. I just wanted to have the basic shape of the eye mapped out for you guys, and I think that everything else is really easy to do just by looking. So let me just show you what the eye should look like, and then you should be able to figure it out for yourselves beyond that. So this is what you want to have for the shape of the eye, guys. It is that easy. There's nothing much to it whatsoever. So pause this if necessary, of course. Once you've got that done for yourselves, we can now continue and move on. So the next bit that we're going to do is Totodile's nose. So Totodile has a little bit of an accent in his nose. It's kind of just like a nostril, and it's situated right at the end of his nose, right there just between the teeth, and it's just those 3 black blocks right there. So apply that for yourself. Pause this if necessary, of course. Once you've applied that for yourself, you can now move on to the next bit. So the next bit, we're just going to do the mouth, and the mouth, I'm just going to fill this in and just show you guys what it should look like, just as I've done with a couple of other parts in this already. We're getting to the point with Totodile where it's kind of easier to just show you guys what you have to do instead of trying to walk you through it, because honestly, everything from this point onwards with Totodile is kind of situated all the way next to the outline of Totodile, and thus it's really easy to figure out what you've just got to place where, instead of me just, you know, individually placing blocks and telling you where to place them. So, for instance, this is Totodile's mouth. Apply everything that you see here. Pause this if necessary, of course. Once you've got that taken care of, you can now move on to the next bit. So, we're now going to add Totodile's stomach, which is also very easy, but will take quite a few blocks to make. So it's basically just made up of a little bit of yellow wool and a little bit of white wool, but again, it's all situated next to the outline, and it's all made up of very short rows of blocks, which leads me to think that you guys won't have too much trouble just doing this for yourselves, just looking at it and doing it for yourselves. And the fact that we're splitting this up into sections will also make things a little bit easier. So you just want to place this pattern with your white and yellow wool. I'm sure that you guys can figure out exactly where this is. It starts just below the mouth, as you guys can see. So pause this if necessary, of course. Once again, apply everything that you see here. Once you've done that, you can now move on to the next bit. So the next bit, we're actually going to add in all of the dark blue wool that exists in our Totodile, which isn't too much, to be honest. And again, all of the dark blue wool, it's kind of just next to large parts of the outline, and it really won't be too difficult for you guys to just look at it and go, ah, it goes right there, and just kind of do it for yourself. So I'm adding in all of the dark blue, and once I've finished, I'll then show you guys then. As a matter of fact, we're just about done from that point, but we do have one more colour to add just after we've done this dark blue, and then we can move on to mass filling him in. So that's most of the dark blue added. We've just got a bit to the tail. The tail is especially easy because it's just about entirely dark blue, and it cuts off just as you get to the body. So let me just do this here, guys, and then it goes it goes here. Hang on, I've got to pay attention for this. There we go. So this is all of the dark blue that exists in Totodile. So this is all of the dark blue of the lower body. Hopefully you guys should quite easily be able to see where all of that goes. Pause this if necessary, of course, apply everything that you see here. Once you've done that, we can now move on to the next bit. So, the next bit, we're now going to take out our red wool, and can you guys see these sections that we have up his back and his tail and what have you, that we kind of like sectioned off with nether brick? Well, we just want to fill these sections in with red wool, and it's as simple as that. So we just want to fill these 3 sections in with red wool that we have on the right hand side here, surrounded by nether brick, fill all of those in with red wool, and there you go, guys. That's all you have to do. And as a matter of fact, once you've done that, all we have to do to now complete Totodile is just completely fill him in with cyan wool, and then we'll be done. And guys, once you've done that, you will be left with an extremely handsome looking Totodile, or beautiful looking Totodile. They can be both genders, although I'd like to tend to think of them more as female, considering the fact that they have claws and sharp teeth. Yeah, definitely. So we're just filling him in with cyan. There is a little section very near the mouth that you don't want to fill in with cyan, and I'll point that out when we get there. You might do it by accident if you're not really thinking and if you're not looking at him, and I'm definitely guilty of doing things like that, but I'll point it out very clearly for you guys where you want to fill it in. It's like a separation between the mouth and his claw, and again, just if you're not paying attention, it might be easy enough to just fill it in by accident. So it's this section right here you guys might be able to see. You don't want to fill that in with anything that wants to remain empty, but I'm sure that it was quite obvious to you guys anyway, and you probably didn't need that pointing out. But hey, you know, I'm here to point out the obvious. We've got quite a bit more cyan to fill in. Totodile is a very, very strange shape. He's made up of lots of twists and turns, and thus he's quite difficult to fill in. But we're going to persist with this anyway. There we go. Then we're just adding all of the cyan in, and this will mark the third and final starter for the second generation of Pokemon. Now, depending on how well these do, I may move on to the third gen, and then the fourth gen, then... Are we on a fifth gen yet? I kind of lost track. I think that we may be on fifth gen, but I don't think we're on sixth gen. I think we're on fifth, but I don't know if we're on sixth or not. There's definitely a fourth though. Definitely a fourth. So the third gen. Oh, I think we've actually filled him in. No, just about. We just need the claws filling in there with cyan. So this is what your Totodile wants to look like once he has been 100% fully filled in. And as a matter of fact, he is definitely my favorite out of the 3 starters for the second generation. He absolutely is. Everybody loves Totodile. Look at him. Look how cute, happy, and detailed he looks. So, hopefully you guys managed to make him no problem. Hopefully you very much like him. If you do like him, guys, I would really appreciate it if you could help me out in any way that you'd feel like. If you could give me a like, comment, share, favorite, anything you feel like doing to help me out, I greatly appreciate. If you guys want to make Chikorita and Cyndaquil and you haven't seen them, feel free to check out the card system and the links below down in the description, for I have made those as well. And I will see you guys in the next video.